a little bit more from the book Unmentionable. It's about what it was like for women back in the Victorian era or the 19th century. This book is very snarky, but it has some good information. There was no sewage system. There was no sewage treatment. So as you're walking down the unpaved streets, you could very easily run into poop or whatever other kind of runoffs there were. And the problem isn't just the smell. The problem is that these bodies of water and their thoroughly polluted water tables are also where urban residents get their drinking water. So there's also a lot of disease. For much of the 19th century, doctors didn't even know what germs were, and certainly didn't think the deadly invisible animals could exist to a fatal capacity in water, like so many tiny rabbit unicorns. I told you she has a very snarky voice in this book. People died because of this by the thousands. They died from cholera, dysentery, typhoid, diseases that occur when your body desperately tries to flush unwelcome bacteria from its digestive tract, usually killing you by dehydration. So there's no sewage systems. There's also no indoor plumbing just yet. So you either have to have an outhouse or you have to pee in a pot or something. Okay, so technically that's all it is an outhouse. You dig a hole, fill it with horrid unspeakableness that comes out of your body, and then when it's near full, you top it off with dirt and you move the building itself over a new hole. No one liked outhouses, particularly house-proud women. Ladies still did the best they could within their means to make their privies bearable. Skip down to the bottom. Very wealthy folks managed to find ways to poop inside for centuries. Even regular folks tended to nature's disgusting call indoors when they could. They used chamber pots, also called the pot, Jerry's, night soil, commodes, slop jars, closed stools, and thunder mugs. Also, keep in mind, it's not like they had a variety of ways to use the bathroom. Sometimes the grown-up size holes could be fatal to children, but actually kids fell in and they were unalived. Okay, skip down to the bottom. Remember, this is the 19th century. There were still slaves or servants. So somebody, if you were able to purchase people, you had these people to help get rid of your bodily waste. They actually paid slaves. It was so disgusting. I'll do a part 2 on this because there's more. Okay, so there's no sewage systems, there's no indoor plumbing, but everybody still has to go to the bathroom. You still have to go. If you had a farm that grew corn, you could use corn cobs. Okay, so this is what they did. They usually soaked the corn cobs to soften them and and shaped them to do the jobs. I can't fathom that one. They also used catalog pages in newspapers. They also used leaves, rags, sticks, whatever worked. So that is just a tidbit on that. Remember also, there's no indoor plumbing, so you have to go to these water sources, which could very well have all kind of feces and pee in them. You have to walk to it with a bucket and get some water, and then you have to go home and some kind of way heat this water up to take a bath. Bathing styles here vary from social class and geography. Most people prefer not to bathe everything at once unless it's summer, because the warm air means you'll less likely to die from bathing. Wetting the whole body at once strips it of its natural defenses and is sure to result in derangement, raging fevers, and consumption. Until later in the century, when wetting the whole body at once will become the cure for those conditions. So obviously, the medical field is ever evolving and people didn't know what was causing what. So let's move on to periods. What did women use for periods? There are different sources that say sometimes women just did nothing. They just had dark clothing. And sometimes women used sheep's wool, fluffy side up, after applying lard to the vulvar area to protect against dampness, raw cotton, wadded up and secured in cheesecloth and inserted like a tampon. Sea sponges applied in the same fashion. Homemade belts made out of anything that could be tied around the waist. They use clouts, little cloth triangles attached to strings around a woman's thighs. Crocheted sanitary napkins attached to a belt. No belt or support at all. Ladies with thick enough thighs could sometimes hold in the towels just by placing them in their thighs. Baby's diapers, folded and used with or without a belt. I told you she has a snarky sense of humor. She said, small albino marmoset clinging. Okay, so she's playing no marmosets. Isn't it amazing how far we have come? Aren't you glad that you were born now?